Alright, hello everyone, my name is Alice and welcome back to NetLab. Today we're going to be focusing on the NetLab A+ Lab Series V4 Lab 01-B, examining PC hardware. In order to get started, the first thing you want to do is make sure you have your lab document downloaded. You can just click on it and it should download. Next, you want to go to your NetLab. In this case, just click the link, log in with your password, and go to make a reservation. Click New Lab Reservation, schedule lab for myself, select the class you're in, and go to NDG A+ V4. Then look for Lab 01B. Now, click to select the time you want to start. Because I want to start right away, I'll click just below this red line. Because I'm going to be instructing you all, I'm going to give myself 30 extra minutes. You should be able to see this Enter Lab box. However, if you want to take it later, you won't see it until your time has officially begun. So if you don't see it, wait until your time has started, then go look again. But since we're starting now, just click Enter Lab. And here we are. Before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about what we're trying to do today. In this lab, we're going to be looking through all the ways to learn more about a computer's hardware. We will be looking at built-in Windows tools and one third-party software that you can download and install. First, scroll down. To begin, we want to access the Windows 7 machine, so simply go over and click on the Windows 7 computer icon. Then, go to sysadmin. You might have to click a couple times to get the system to recognize your mouse, and enter in the password trainings with a capital T, a 1 replacing the second I, and a $sign after the G. Now, click the Start button, and then click on Control Panel. We want to make sure that we are using the View by small icons. Now, we can scroll down to see what we need to do. In this case, we want to click on System. This will give us general information about the computer that we are working with. In this case, we can see that it's running Windows 7 Professional, Service Pack 1. This may be different depending on what computer you're working with, as there are different service packs for each Windows installation. It is running a Intel Xeon Gold 6130 CPU at 2.10 GHz, with 2 gigs of RAM. Now that you've made note of this information, keep scrolling down. You may now switch to the Windows 8.1 system by simply clicking Windows 8.1. Now, launch the login screen by clicking or hitting the spacebar and enter in the same password. Now, go to the Windows icon and right-click. Then, go to System. This provides a shortcut to the same information that we were looking at in the Windows 7 system, in this case, Windows 8.1 Pro, with the same computer processor and the same amount of RAM. Now, scroll down. When we're finished, simply hit the X and go back to the Windows 7 machine. Now, we're going to be looking at systeminfo.exe. To access it, click the Start menu, type in cmd, or, if you want to, command prompt, though I will remind you that both cmd and command prompt will go to the same program. So, right-click on command prompt and select Run as Administrator. Then hit Yes. Now, scroll down to see what you must enter. In this case, you just have to type systeminfo.exe. Now, as a little bit of a sneak peek into a lab that you will encounter later on in the program, you will find out that in order to run a program through the command prompt, you simply have to type its name and its file extension, just like this. Now, hit enter. Now, we can full screen and start scrolling up. This gives us information about hotfixes, memory, both virtual and physical, the OS name and version, and how much RAM is installed, among other things. Then, since we're finished, you can either click the X or type exit and hit enter. Now, go to the Windows 10 machine. Click or hit the spacebar and type in the same password. Now, hit enter. Scroll down, go to the Windows menu, and right-click again. Then, go to Run. Ordinarily, you should be able to hit Windows key and R to pull this menu up, but because we're using a virtual machine, it's not going to recognize that. So you're going to have to right-click and select Run. Then, type CMD. You can also search for it, but this is technically a faster way. Now, scroll down slightly to see if there's anything else you need to enter. In this case, we just need to enter systeminfo.exe again. And you'll see it should give us about the same amount of information, though there will be less. Something interesting you might notice is that it says a hypervisor has been detected. You'll learn more about what a hypervisor is later. However, for right now, what it's detecting is that it itself is a virtual machine, so it's not going to display any unnecessary information. Now we can type exit and hit enter to close it. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to go to the Windows menu again, right-click it, and select Run again. Now, we can simply type msinfo32.exe. Now, hit enter. This will bring up system information. Something else you should know is that you can just hit the Windows key, or in this case the magnifying glass, and type in system information, and it will bring up the same thing, but this is faster. Now, as you see here, we can click on the system summary, though this is already highlighted for us, and look at information that it displays. You might notice that this is slightly similar to the command that we entered in the command prompt, and you're right. This just focuses it in a graphical way. Now scroll down to see what exactly you need to search for, because you can use the Find What bar to search for something specific. In this case, we want to look for the display. So, go to the Find What bar, click it, type display, and then click on Find. If you don't see what you want, click Find Next. Now you see we're in the display menu, and you can see that display is highlighted under components. Scroll down to see if there's anything specific you want to look for. Because there's nothing more we need to look for, and it just wants us to see display, we can finish for now. So, scroll down. Now we're going to generate a system information report. This is useful if you want to keep a copy of the system that you're troubleshooting's information on hand. So, since we want to look for information on the display section, all we need to do is make sure that this is selected. You can do that by just clicking on it again. Go to File, and then Export. Now let's scroll down to see where it wants us to save it. In this case, Documents, we're already there, so it wants us to create a new folder. So just right-click, go to New, and then Folder. Is there anything specific it wants us to name it as? Okay, System Info. Hit Enter. Now, once you've created it, double-click it. Now it says here it wants us to give the specific date as the file name. So, because for me it is June 6, 2025, I will simply type in 2025 dash, or well, I guess in this case it doesn't want the dash, so 0606. Then dash display, and then underscore info. While you technically don't have to follow this naming convention, it can be pretty useful to know from a glance exactly what information you're saving and when you've saved it. In this case, we can simply just hit enter, and it should be saved. But let's double check by going to the Windows Explorer and clicking on the Documents shortcut. Well, system info is there. Let's look inside. And there we are. So we can open it to see exactly what was exported. As you can see, all of the information that was on display in system information is copied over here. Now let's keep scrolling. Now we need to go to the Windows 7 machine. So you can close everything in the Windows 10 machine, and then select Windows 7. You usually won't have to log in, but if you do, just use the same password as always. Now click the Start button, and type in dxdiag. This is short for DirectX Diagnostics. If you don't know what DirectX is, it's essentially a software system that allows for the Windows PC to interface with its specific graphics hardware. So, hit enter. Normally, it's a good idea to check if your drivers are digitally signed, because a lot of issues can be caused by downloading incorrect drivers or fake drivers that aren't signed by the manufacturer. In this case, however, we don't really want to do anything with that, so we can just click no. Scroll down, and now we want to just view general information. So this gives us information like the date and the time, the name, the operating system, the manufacturer, BIOS, and the DirectX version. This is the specific version of the software that is being used by the computer. We can click on Next Page to view more information about it. In this case, we've gone from the System tab to the Display tab. And if we click Next Page, it goes to Sound, and then Input. Let's start back at System, and then click Next Page once. Now, we can scroll down and see that it wants us to hit Save All Information. So, we'll do that. It wants us to save it in the desktop, and we're already there. So, all we need to do is keep the default file name. Technically, you can change it, but in this case, it doesn't want us to, so we won't. And then, hit Save. Now, if we minimize the dxdiag, you will see a text file. And if you open it, you'll see a differently formatted, but containing the same information file. Now let's keep going. In this case, we can just close the window and the dxdiag tool. Now we're going to move on to the freeware tool that you can download to give you more information about a computer. In this case, it's called Free PC Audit. So, we want to go to the link, which is right here. This is also known as a shortcut, and right-click it. Then select Run as Administrator, select Yes, and let it scan. Now we can look through all of the information that it gives us, which, as you can see, is rather extensive. You can think of it as almost a combination of all of the other tools. And as you can see, each parameter is matched with a value. This refers to Windows updates. Now we can look at software. There's not a lot here. And command processes. If you know what Task Manager is and sorting by processes, this is kind of a similar thing that you might see. Well, since we're done here, we can close this. Make sure to fill out the worksheet reflection questions, and you're done.